district at Music Walk a couple weeks ago. I know I've been trying to show their pictures up here. In the picture, we have them live. So we're really Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready to begin this evening's board meeting. Sergeant at Arms or designee has the front lobby been attended to ensure public access? Thank you. The school board meeting of April 12th, 2022 is now called to order. The time is 6:01. Prior to the start of this evening's meeting, we have been enjoying scenes from the Addams Family. This performance is presented by the Ida S. Baker High School Theater Company. The director of this group is Sarah Jones. If you want to see a full version of this musical comedy, tickets for their upcoming show on April 29th and 30th are still available. Please scan the QR code on the screen above to purchase the tickets through GoFan. And again, we really appreciate the kids being here today. At this time, we're not going to take a brief pause because we've already done that. They are gone. So we would like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of the district mission, which is to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest personal potential and the district vision to be a world-class school system. Can you turn the page here? This evening's agenda includes moment of silence, presentation of colors and pledge of allegiance, acknowledgements, recognitions, public comments, consent action items, which include 2 items under board office, 5 items under academic services, 4 items under business services, 2 items under human resources, 16 items under operations, which 2 are good cause. Dr. Savage, please provide an explanation for these 2 items.
Yes, Madam Chair. Item 15, the total project cost estimates for MM&J was added to maintain the J Elementary and MM Edition project schedule. If contracts are not engaged by April 13th, 2022, the project will realize a substantial cost increase and or a delayed opening past the fiscal year 23-24 start of school date. Item 16, the purchase of the right-of-way for G. Weaver Hips was added to meet the closing timeline requirements.
Thank you. As presiding officer, I find there is good cause to add these two items to the agenda. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll move to adopt the agenda as printed.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Giovanelli. It has been moved by Ms. Fisher and seconded by Ms. G. Vanelli. Please record your vote. And Ms. Roman, I cannot see it because the screen is,
It's not up yet. I can't, it's not coming up.
Just vote. Tell you.
Aye.
okay, 7-0, motion carries. Thank you. Ms. Vaughn will lead us in a moment of silence, after which Ms. Morgan will lead us in the presentation of colors and the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Vaughn, please lead us in a moment of silence. Please stand.
As you stand this evening for a moment of silence, I would like to suggest that you send your thoughts and prayers to the brave people of Ukraine who continue to endure egregious brutality from the government of Russia. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Morgan.
Introducing the cadet who is presenting the national colors for our Pledge of Allegiance tonight is Sergeant Major Robert Charles Hightower, Jr., Army instructor from North Fort Myers High School. Sergeant Major Hightower served 30 years in the Army in numerous assignments and retired as the Quality Assurance Sergeant Major for the United States Army Combined Arms Command Sustainment Center of Excellence. This is Sergeant Major Hightower's first year as a JROT instructor in the district. Welcome and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Major. Presenting the national colors tonight is Cadet Ryan K. Ziegler, currently the Cadet Deputy Brigade Commander. He was also selected as a future Brigade Commander of North Fort Myers High School JROTC. He is actively involved in all JROTC teams. He is the Color Guard Commander, as well as a member of the drill team for 3 years. He is also a member of the Red Knights Raiders team for 3 years. He is also a member of the North Fort Myers High School Musical Theater. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You may be seated.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. This evening's student representative is Cole Wilder. Cole is a 7th grader at Colusa Middle School with a current 4.0 GPA, a member of the National Junior Honor Society, and an assistant ambassador at Colusa Middle. Musically inclined, Cole currently enjoys playing the keyboard. Cole plans to pursue an engineer degree after graduating. from high school and a career working for Elon Musk. Welcome, Cole. At this time, our student representative, Cole, will present the character word and design for April.
Thank you.
Speaking to her. And it's going to be up there.
The character educational word for April is integrity. The ultimate measure of man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The design you see displayed on the screen was created by Lizran Morero, an 11th grade student at Mariner High School.
Good job, buddy. And now, thank you, Cole. Now you're going to proceed with the acknowledgements.
The School Board of Lee County acknowledges the following events for the month of April 2022. Administrative Professional Week, April 24th through 30th, 2022. Earth Day, April 22nd, 2022. Florida School Volunteer Month, April 1st through 30th, 2022. National Autism Awareness Month, April 1st through 30th, 2022. School Library Month, April 1st through 30th, 2022.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is recognition. Board members and Cole, please join me down in the pit. You're doing a great job.
Over here, please. Thank you. So Fort Myers-based FIRST, which I'll explain in a minute, FIRST Tech Challenge Robotics Team. Oh, you're pushing it up there. Go ahead. Java the Huts. Notice Java, J-A-V-A, the Huts, avoided a trademark violation, has advanced the World Championship competition to be held in Houston, Texas between April 20th and April 23rd, 2022. 49 teams competed in the state championship in Winter Haven, Florida on March 5th, 2022. The Java the Huts team won the overall first place Inspire Award, given to the team. Go ahead. The Inspire Award is given to the team that is a top contender for many other judged awards and is a gracious competitor and is the first of 3 teams from Florida to advance to the World Championship. FIRST stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. It is a global robotics community with teams spread across 110 countries with primary focus on advancing STEM education. FIRST Tech Challenge is a category of robotics competition for students in grades 7 through 12. Teams design, build, and program a robot to compete in an alliance format against other teams. I'm going to call your names and give you a certificate, and then I would ask you to go up and shake everyone's hand and then stand in front of the board. I'm sorry? Is there a principal here?
We are a community-based team.
Yeah, there are a lot of different schools represented here. So first, Robbie Stewart. Robbie is a sophomore at Bonita Springs High School. He is part of the mechanical design team and the build team lead for JTH. Congratulations, buddy. Good job. Advaith is a sophomore at Dunbar High School. He is part of the programming team and is the documentation lead and web designer for JTH. Dhruva Sharma. Dhruva is a freshman at Fort Myers High School. He is the programming lead for JTH. Congratulations. Caden Keene. Caden is a junior at Fort Myers High School. He is a part of the build team and is the lead mechanical designer for JTH. There is another student who is unable to attend tonight. His name is Kyle Keene, and Kyle is a junior at Fort Myers High School. He's the graphic design lead and helps create the engineering portfolio for JDH. Caden, can I give this to you? Is there a relation there? Yeah. Okay, I'll bring it to you. Can we have a round of applause, please? And I saved Quinn Conasec for last because I know Quinn. Quinn and my boys went to elementary school together, and my most memorable moment with Quinn was in 3rd grade when I went into the classroom to teach the 3 branches of government, and he was so committed to phonetics that he called it the judicial branch. He fully understood the concept of separation of powers. He just couldn't say judicial at that time. I love this young man. He is going to change the world, and I couldn't be more thrilled to give this certificate to Quinn Conasec. Quinn is a sophomore at Bonita Springs High School, and he is the PR and marketing lead for JTH.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Now we'll take a photo. Congratulations. Thank you. Yep. So they're going to come right up here in the front. You guys can slide right in front of all.
Do we get to see how it works? Well, no, right now, take a picture and then y'all do it first.
Probably just leave it on and use the chart, I would say, because they can't see it. Yeah, we designed, most of these parts we designed ourselves using a CNC machine and 3D printers.
They have as many remotes as I do.
Yeah, there's a lot of systems and movement on the robot, so it actually takes 2 drivers to control properly.
A team.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for having us here.
Congratulations. Good luck. Where are you going, Houston?
Yes, Houston, Texas.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Next week? Oh, congratulations. Good luck.
They are still raising funds for their trip, just FYI.
JobForTheHuts.org.
Okay, we got you.
Have a GoFundMe.
He's marketing us right now. There you go. Okay, next, I would like to invite to the lectern Miss Brenda Strebel, Mr. Richard Cuddle, and I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong, Miss Beverly Burke, I know I got your name right. The Foundation for Lee County Public Schools, in collaboration with the Voice of the Constitution, CAPE 912, or 912, And I'm sorry, did I have your name on here, ma'am?
Sarah.
And Sarah, let's not miss Sarah, and Sarah. And the Lee County School District offered all middle schools in Lee County a chance to participate in the VOC essay project. Through their generous VOCT, CAPE 912, and private donors, provided student pocket constitutions free to all participating 7th grade civic teachers to support classroom instructions in civics, history, and social study classes. Students were invited to write an essay based on information found in the U.S. Constitution. Each participating middle school selected their best 2 essays to submit to the foundation and the CAPE 912, Inc., where a selection committee of CAPE 912 members and the Golden Apple teacher, Greg Bolin, reviewed and ranked the essays to come up with the top 3. And now I will turn this over to Mr. Richard Caudill, President of Voice of the Constitution, CAPE 912, which you are here, so I'm going to bring you up here, please.
Thank you.
And then here's, you have the names and everything already?
I do.
You probably did a better job than talking on yourself.
Thank you.
Good evening. Voice of the Constitution is proud to sponsor the Constitution Essay Contest for the 12th consecutive year. We would like to thank the Foundation of Lee County Public Schools and the Lee County School District for their ongoing partnership and support for this program. Congratulations to all of the Voice of the Constitution essay winners. The quality of the essays were very close, making it a challenging decision for the selection committee. The 3rd place winner is Austin Sumi of Lexington Middle School. Please come up with your teacher, Miss Cynthia Volpe. Austin earned a $50 Amazon gift card for himself and a Staples gift for his teacher with an outstanding essay titled Foundation of the U.S. Constitution.
Thank you. Congratulations, honey. You're going to go way over there, okay? Oh, wait a second.
There we go. There you go. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Second place is Tyson Privy of Three Oaks Middle School. Unfortunately, he's not here today, but his teacher is here. So Austin earned a, Tyson earned a $75 Amazon gift card for himself and a Staples gift card for his teacher, Cynthia Restino, with her excellent essay entitled Responsible Citizenship.
It couldn't be here.
That's
I'm the
okay.
language arts teacher.
But you're here representing.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I'm Debbie Fight.
Thank you.
I'll give that to
Sorry, still-
Okay, well, I think we have the first place winner, too.
Yes, yes. No. First place author's winning essay was on the subject of Federalists and Anti-Federalists. Congratulations, Sarah Huda of Three Oaks Middle School. Please come up and receive your prize. She earned a $200 Amazon gift card for herself and a Staples gift card for her teacher. Again, Cynthia Restino. Cynthia could not be here this evening, but I want to congratulate personally Cynthia for having not one but 2 winners to this contest.
That's great.
Thank you.
Did someone leave a cell phone? Miss Burke, Sarah? Did one of you leave a cell phone up here?
Down front.
Excuse me.
How about the boys?
Or the,
Mr. Newland, will you check with the boys to see if they left a cell phone, please?
foundation.
Yeah, she just said no.
Oh.
Beads.
Yeah, it's got beads on
She
it.
said, she said no.
Oh, that's going to be a bummer.
Okay, they'll come back.
That's not P6.
Okay, thank you all. We're giving them just a second to clear the room. And again, this just shows what our kids are doing in the district, and I'm just so excited for them. Okay, the next on the agenda item is public comment. Today, our Assistant School Board Attorney, Ms. Shayna Zupke, will address public comments. Ms. Zupke, please address the item of public comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. If you completed a public comment card, please put it in the basket provided at the back of the room. If you need a public comment card, they are provided by our staff located in the hallway outside of the boardroom. The rules concerning public comment are posted in and will be made from the microphone in the back of the room. Please be advised that the board will not respond during public comment to remarks made by speakers. Speakers and those attending the meeting are expected to act in a respectful manner. The purpose of public comment is to provide feedback on school district issues. Abusive language is prohibited. In addition, clapping, hissing, and booing, unreasonably loud and/or offensive language, swearing, cursing, or display of temper during the public comment time is prohibited. Speakers who fail to follow the proper decorum in the chambers will be ruled out of order. Any speaker continuing with such remarks will be required to relinquish the microphone per Board Policy 1.11 and may be removed from the chambers. We will take recess if necessary if there is not decorum in the chambers. Per Board Policy 1.11, the time per speaker is 3 minutes if there are 20 speakers, 2 minutes if there are 30 speakers, and 1 minute if there are 31 speakers or more. The maximum time allotted for the public comment is 1 hour, 60 speakers. You will find a countdown on the big screens in the front of the room. Once your time has elapsed, the microphone will automatically shut off. Please state your name when you approach the microphone. I will call your names, 5 speakers at a time. Please follow staff's direction when lining up. Madam Chair, there are 17 speakers that wish to address the board this evening.
Thank you. Which equates to 3 minutes per.
Yes, so it would be 3 minutes per speaker.
Thank you.
And I will call the first 5 speakers.
Oh, yeah, let me.
One moment.
Yeah, one moment. Okay, please make sure you have completed a public comment card if you intend to provide public comment. The card is a public record identifying those who speak and providing contact information to staff for follow-up. The cards are located with the staff in the hallway. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board but did not fill out a comment card at this time? Seeing none, before we start, I would just like to bring something forward. It has come to our attention that an old Equality Florida poster was found at one of our schools, and a text message was sent regarding a similar issue. Please be advised that the district has removed the poster, as well as we have not used that poster for over a year, and the text message is under review. The school board will abide by all applicable laws and maintain our commitment to non-discrimination. Dr. Savage, can you please comment to this, please?
Yes, just to reiterate what you said, Madam Chair, my understanding is that it was a new principal to the school. Immediately upon it being brought to the principal's attention, the poster was taken down and disposed of. So just wanted to make sure that just support what you said, that it was addressed. And I think anything else related to this would continue to be looked into relative to text messages and things of that nature.
Thank you very much. Ms. Zupke?
Yes. I'd like to call the first 5 speakers: Sharon McGill, Jackie O, Marina Church, Denise Nystrom, and Dan Severson.
Good evening.
Good evening. Sharon McGill. I'd just like to take a minute to address the public comment issue that's come up a few times this week and to address the board about it. I come here to address the board. I don't come here to address the audience. So if people feel compelled to turn around and look at me when I speak, that's their choice. But I'm here to address the board. And whether I'm standing in the back of the room, on the side, or I could be in another room, as long as I was on speaker and you could hear me, it wouldn't matter. It does not matter where I am in the room to address you. So I just want to make that perfectly clear and understand why this was even an issue to begin with, is because there were certain people who were disrespectful of the protocols that were set in place by the district. So actions have consequences, and us being in the back of the room are the consequences of those actions by those people. Next, I'd like to thank Legal Services for the presentation on the superintendent, the elected versus appointed. I think it was very comprehensive. There was a lot of information. And as was discussed, I think it could be shortened for public review and still fall within the education guidelines. And I think the district actually owes it to the stakeholders in the community to do that. I think it's their responsibility to educate them about the issue. Like you said, no advocacy of any kind attached to it. And if a board member doesn't feel comfortable discussing it with the public, that's their choice. But I do think that the district has a responsibility to lay out the differences between having an elected and an appointed superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. So loud. My name is Marina Church. I'm a mother of 2 wonderful kids who attend Veterans Park Academy for the Arts in Lehigh Acres. Last 2 years has been not easy for all of us, and especially for our kids. I'm here today because my kids really want I come to school to have lunch with them. I try to make their simple wish to come true. I called to your office before trying to go to our school and got a positive reply that doors are open for visitors in all schools in Lee County. I told to my daughter that finally we can have lunch together at school. When I came, I saw posters all over front doors that visitors are not allowed, many of them. But I was sure school administration just forgot to take them off. Our principal came out to talk to me and said that he doesn't allow any visitors by his own choice, his own decision. I'm asking you to clarify the situation, please, and help me with that matter, so kids and parents finally can enjoy a simple, normal lunch at school together like it was used to be 2 years ago. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Denise Nystrom. Last year, many community members asked that to err on the side of transparency, that the Bill of Rights be placed front and center in the Code of Conduct. And I am requesting that again, that a parent would not have to search a link to find SB 582 or SB 1557. Mrs. Fisher, at yesterday's workshop meeting, the 22-23 Code of Conduct was discussed, and you asked a very poignant question. You said, who is deciding to arrest our children over minor infractions? That's something that I've shared conversations with other people about, and I thank you for sharing your concern about that. I think you hit a very important nail on the head. I have seen the faces of children plastered on the news for minor infractions, and I think to myself, how are they ever going to return to school? It's a traumatizing incident. Sometimes they will even give their home addresses. One incident alone does not define a child, and since you brought it up, I'm asking you to please to continue bringing that up and to look at the Code of Conduct in terms of its tolerance policies. Once again, I would also like to thank Dr. Spiro and his academic team. There are a group of us that have been meeting with his entire team to discuss the issues, many which we have discussed here for the last year. And we are working very, very collaboratively together towards solutions that will meet everybody's needs. His team is professional and collegial, and I cannot thank them enough. Thank you again, Dr. Spiro. Finally, I would like to thank Mrs. Gittens for speaking about allowing the public to make our comments at the side microphone and for being willing to change her seat to make that happen. It does help to establish positive relationships between us and the board. I have attended several governmental discussions lately with national figures. There is no wanding, there's no checking of pocketbooks. And so once again, I'm asking for the board's consideration to have us return to the side microphone. Thank you very much.
Will the following speakers please line up? Mary Hartley, Jada Fleming, Armour Pearsons, Mike Racecott, and Joe Phillips.
Good evening. Can we put the clock back, please, Ms. Roman? Thank you.
I'm Dan Severson. It's been my honor to serve in this country in the military for 22 years. During that time, I observed all types of leadership, from destructive self-serving policies which undermine the unit morale, to models of integrity and self-sacrifice which create purpose and unit success. I've witnessed it in Lee County school system an organization where the majority of the team of over 12,000 employees believe in the mission of making good citizens for our future. Unfortunately, this leadership is failing. That failure is reflected in poor morale, mistrust, and abuse of system resources. Teachers are frustrated, bus drivers are underpaid and ill-equipped to deal with problems, and most importantly, the board has lost the trust from the very people who put them in charge, the parents. Last year we had protracted hearings and voices from the parents dealing with the LGBTQ and the posters that had been brought forward. As was stated tonight, that seemed to have been a one-time occurrence. How do we know? How do we know that wasn't posted there for quite a while or is not in other buildings? So that's a question that has gone to the heart of this issue now, because you've resurrected through that process a mistrust of this board, and it's going to take some real positive measures to bring that trust back. I believe that the ability for the parents to speak and to speak from the side rostrums is pivotal to beginning to replace that trust. I also believe that that in order to regain that trust, we're going to have some real positive movements in terms of the kind of lunches that we're feeding our kids. Number one, I have been out on the streets and talking with particular parents, and those lunches are subpar. And I believe that's a direct reflection of some of the actions that were taken from this board over a year ago on the contracts. So I appreciate the efforts that are being put forth from that rostrum, but there have been some bumps in the road and some hurdles that will now become yours to overcome. The taxpayers, the children, and the community deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, I'm Mary Hartley, and I wanted to ask the board tonight if they were aware that some teachers need aides in the classroom to help out. One teacher in particular is an experienced teacher who has taught all around the country because her husband was a military intel officer. And they are both Cape Coral residents. They graduated through the Lee schools, and so she's been teaching this year in the Lee school. This teacher in particular has never experienced what she has experienced as a teacher in the Lee County schools. She teaches elementary, and she struggles to teach in between breaking up fights, having kids arrested, and she has asked the district for an aide to help out, manage fights, so that way she can teach. She said what she teaches is no longer fun in the classroom because she breaks up fights. And she is just shocked, absolutely shocked. She's never experienced this. Kids, elementary kids, being arrested. She told the police, oh, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. The district has denied teachers an aide, which would greatly help her instruct in her classroom instead of breaking up fights. She has since quit. She will not be with the Lee County School Districts next year. She said she's taught in many school districts, but this has been the worst ever. And she's so sad because she's a product of the Lee County schools. And I hear we have a new superintendent, and I hear he's overpaid. I would like to know if any of you or the superintendent would be willing to give up some of your money, how much you guys make for this, to the teachers or the aides that they need, or the bus drivers. Let's not pay bus drivers or teachers enough to retain them, right? What happened to all the COVID funding that all the school districts were getting? And then has the district forgot that the bus drivers and the teachers are what keeps this district going? You need them in order to have you guys up there. Have you forgotten without them and all of our tax money, none of you would be sitting there. So I'm here to ask if any of you would be willing to give up some of your pay so that way teachers can have an aide to help out with the fights in the fights in the classroom, or pay bus drivers more, maybe $20 an hour would work. Because the bus drivers are the backbone of our district. They are the ones who get our kids to and from school safely, and everybody should get on board on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Excuse me. Armor Persons. I'm the grandfather of
2 students in the Lee County School District. You sort of missed the point when you said all the posters have been taken out of the school. That's not important. What's important is the policies, quote, best practices that poster had on it. And the best I can tell, all those policies are in effect. Boys identifying as girls can go into the girls' bathroom. Teachers can keep from the parents problems and counsel the kids. It's the policies that are the problem. If this isn't the case, it would be great if you could direct me where the board has the policies written down so parents may look at them and learn what they are. I have not been able to find them. I sent an email out to all the board members when the poster showed up. And again, it's not the poster, it's the practices that are on the poster. I only got one response. The response says, focus on critical issues and quit feeding red meat to your base. That was a totally inappropriate response. Every issue is a critical issue if it concerns our parents. Our students, excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Mike Rassico. Glad to see you had some folks here talking about STEM. I recently retired from a STEM position in Detroit, and Cole, glad to see that you are interested in pursuing automotive career, because I just retired from GM and I used to work at their test tracks and at their technical center, and I realized what STEM positions require. They require a lot of integrity of science and data, and I know all the folks that have leadership positions here and teachers, it's a hard job. I homeschooled for a while. I had 4 sons, and I also sent them to private school and public school. But I was surprised when I was working that there was very few Americans in some of the higher technical positions. So it's encouraging to see the STEM activities in the school, but I think you need to go farther. And part of that, I think, is to show some leadership yourself. I came here last fall or whatever it was when you had the meeting on mask, and I didn't get to speak. And being an engineer and looking at a lot of data, I found some scientific studies on masks, and they showed that the masks don't work. And I also had a son that played some college basketball. And if you investigate the virus, you find out it's like the holes in the mask are like 6 times bigger than the size of the virus. So I'm pretty sure I could keep up with my son's 3-pointers if I was shooting at a basketball hoop that was 3 times or 6 times the size of it normally is. So I just encourage the board and people making these decisions to, especially for the STEM students, to actually look at the data. And you will see that it doesn't make sense for those kind of situations. I know we're not using them now, but it's just an example of showing some leadership for these kids. And I'm glad that Martin Luther King was mentioned, because a lot of the folks that I worked with in STEM were from other countries. Taiwan, India, the Middle East, all over the world. And they all had great character. They didn't have all these side studies on the things that were on that poster or other things. They focused on the fundamentals. And in all those countries, you know, they've been beating the heck out of us in STEM for a long time. So I guess I wonder what's on the agenda of the boards sometimes. You know, like he spoke about what the process is, because the process in my mind should be, you know, what get measured gets done, and reading, writing, and arithmetic should be top priorities, not and making sure these posters aren't on there. So.
Thank you.
Will the following speakers please line up? Dr. Edward Drass, Sydney Skirtich, Robert Roper, Tara Jenner, and Christy DiVigelli. And there's actually 16, and the last speaker would be Ryan Monroe after.
Good evening, Jada Langford Fleming. Seems that we are back at a Genesis moment. A year ago, you stirred up the hornet's nest and you had 300 parents attend a school board meeting because of something that was slipped into a code of conduct that the school sent out. And here we are, a year later, still seeing this ridiculous and inappropriate poster in classrooms. I have heard that the poster was put up on an accident. The only accident was that the poster was taken a picture of with a student, an administrator, and then put on social media. I'd also like to encourage the board to enforce their own policies, making it very easy to find by the parents so that these posters can be taken down. And then reprimand the staff who continues to violate the policy that you put in place. Another failure of the board, the state provided raises, and yet our hardworking, underpaid teachers have not seen the raises they deserve. Inflation continues to increase. And not only is this not fair, but it's wrong. We are having a major retention problem here in Lee County with teachers, with paraprofessionals, and with bus drivers. This is really important. The teachers, the bus drivers, the cafeteria staff, the paraprofessionals, the janitorial staff, and many others are the backbone of the education system here in Lee County, and they deserve the raise that they were promised.
Thank you. Good evening.
Smoking Joe. Before I start, I'd like to wish everyone here a happy Easter, even some of you atheists. Such a wonderful time of year, but I won't be hiding any eggs this year, searching for none. I'll be on a hunt to expose more of the corruption and answers to the questions this board bunny hops around every day. The bus drivers feel forgotten as they see you keep spending money on buildings, pay increases for administrators and lawyers. Where's the justice in the people who we literally put the most trust of our children's safety in every day not being paid an adequate wage? We, the citizens of Lee County, demand a forensic audit on the process of procurement and the relationships between board members and vendors. Between the maintenance department, procurement, and Chris Patrica, we know there is collusion going on, and that has to be addressed. We come to you meeting after meeting, and it seems like this board is deaf to the request we ask of you. I will also add that we're still back here in the back of the room. At the recent workshop, Ms. Gittens was berated as trying to be a hero when she made the suggestion that we be brought back to the front. What are y'all afraid of? I don't understand it. If y'all haven't noticed, the crimes are being committed on that side of the dais. I can assure you that no one wants to get further away from this board than the citizens of Lee County. Ms. Patrica, you're safe. Ms. Jordan, I don't think no one's going to run up there and snatch a patch out of your head. Oh, wait, somebody done beat me to it. I'm Smoking Joe. Peace.
Good evening.
Dr. Edward Drass. Is it coincidental or ironic that the school board word presented by Ms. Jordan for April is integrity? Integrity, defined by the American Heritage Dictionary, steadfast adherence to a strict moral or ethical code. Or in my own homespun way, I view integrity as doing what you'll say you'll do. To quote Dr. Savage on a different issue, one is too many. One poster sets the tone for what the public thinks. Accident or not, it was there and it was seen. So I ask you this, Did the board show integrity when they told the parents that all the posters would be removed from the schools? Did they do what they promised? Does this instill confidence in the parents and in the students? And does it instill confidence in other actions the board has taken or will take in the future? Remember, this is an election year and the voters are watching. You as a board are familiar with 1001.42 paragraph 6, standards of ethical conduct for instructional personnel and school administrators. You may need to apply that when it comes to this poster. Now, at a workshop yesterday, you reviewed the new student code of conduct for the 2022-2023 year. Does this new code of conduct comply with the new Florida statutes pertaining to education that will be enacted on July 1st, 2022? House Bill 1557, I'm sure you've all read it already, but let me just review a few points. It requires district school boards to adopt procedures that comport with certain provisions of law for notifying students' parents of specified information. It requires such procedures to reinforce fundamental rights of parents to make decisions regarding upbringing and control of their children. It prohibits school districts from adopting procedures or student support forms that prohibit school district personnel from notifying parents about specified information or that encourage students to withhold from parents such information. It also prohibits school district personnel from discouraging or prohibiting parental notification and involvement in critical decisions affecting the student's mental health. Think about this when you're passing new board guidelines for mental health care, for emotional and physical well-being. Read your statutes, school board, this is your lifeblood. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Sydney Skirtage. I'm a student at Florida Gulf Coast University, and I wanted to come here and share an idea I have about implementing mental health into the high school curriculum. I know there's a program called Wellness Wednesday, and I think that is a great step into the right direction. However, I believe there should be a course that goes more in depth about mental health and dives into those hard conversations. When I was in high school, my freshman and sophomore year, I struggled with mental health, and often struggled internally and kept to myself and wasn't involved in much activities. Luckily, my parents were able to recognize that and what was going on, and I was able to get help. However, not many students are as lucky as me. They might feel uncomfortable talking to their parents, or maybe their parents don't even know much about mental health. And most of these students who don't have any understanding of mental health are left untreated or undiagnosed, which decreases their overall academic success rate. They have a lower GPA and less involvement within the school. And having a class on mental health would be ideal. And it's essential to go more in depth about mental health and discussing treatment options, coping mechanisms, where to go for help, who to ask to help, and how to deal with others who might be experiencing mental health, such as their family, friends, or peers. This course is needed more than ever, especially within these last 2 years. Ever since COVID, there has been more and more mental health cases, and it is important as a school to provide students with this support. Anyways, I hope you can all consider implementing this course, and thank you for allowing me the time to speak.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I just want to take a minute and thank the board. I haven't done that in a while, and I like the reminder that we've all gone through a pandemic, and it's been a little over 2 years, and that is something we all have in common. And it's not been easy on anyone, most of all the kids, to be fair. But I do know that during this pandemic, and even before that, I want to speak to the reference of mistrust by Dan Severson, and then the reference to the microphone being in the back of the room, which, I don't know, like, I feel like we should pick our battles, and I just don't see why this is the most important one. Communication's important, but the microphone in the back of the room seems a little bit unimportant in the effort to make a solution. In addition to that, if I understand correctly, The microphone is in the back of the room, and the security is out there because of threats that the board received for over a year. I know you guys don't talk about it, and I can't imagine what that's like because I'm not a board member. But I do wish that you would open up about that so the community would have some understanding of the reasons for some of these things, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but that's my understanding. Some of them, if I understand, were death threats. Some of them were climbing over a wall to enter someone's house. Okay, this is a big deal. So it's one thing to put up with, you know, angry parents, but it's another thing for angry parents to attack you. And that happened for at least a year. It happened on August 30th when Lee County made national news. We were on Newsweek, we were on MSNBC, we were on Independent UK, because a doctor got shoved off the curb, because a woman got punched in the face by an anti-mask man. The conservatives, who were the anti-maskers, were the attackers. These are things that happened, and if you're not sure, just look it up in the news. These are important things, and you certainly have the freedom to laugh. Second, I want to talk about the LGBTQ poster, and I want to just speak up on behalf of children that are LGBTQ. I think that when someone's different than me, I should listen to them. And I think that's the case with LGBTQ. We should do more listening. In reference to what the board members get paid, if I'm not mistaken, board members, and I think Ms. Jordan may have even done this a couple years ago, get paid the same salary as the first year teacher's salary. And if I remember, you reduced your own salary a couple years ago. My last question is, if bus drivers are still in negotiations, can we bring in an arbitrator? Can we make solutions? Thank you.
Good evening.
Robert Roper. The time has come for this board to answer to the parents of Lee County. Currently, the district policy concerning counseling for children that may be questioning their gender is to place that child with a counselor that is only capable of taking that child down the road further in their gender confusion. You currently offer no alternative, such as restoring the child to their sex assigned at birth. Last year, the policy became an unwritten policy. Since that time, I've worked with you to remedy this situation that allows the district to put the child with a gender-affirming counselor for an unspecified number of visits in an unspecified period of time without parental permission or notification. Your one-size-fits-all approach to a complex topic is very dangerous to the students. There is not one single other emotional disorder that you would treat the same universally like you do gender confusion. Let me just review what's at stake here. In the proposed student code of conduct, you clearly state that the LGBTQ students are 2 to 3 times more likely to attempt suicide. For God's sake, inform the parents and let them decide what's best for their child. We're not talking about counseling a child that's afraid to take a test. This is life or death. One of the arguments I've heard from the district forever is these students claim that their parents will kill them if they find out. I'm going to ask you to stop hiding behind that excuse. If that statement is believed to be true by the counselor, then it is required by law that you report it to DCF immediately and by the most expeditious means, not to continue to counsel that child. The absolute last thing a gender-confused child needs, one that has suicidal ideations, is to be told that their worth is in their identity, that they are victims of oppression or discrimination, and their future emotional stability depends on society, rather than giving that student the support and the control they need over those ideations to control for themselves. The district has been using an unwritten, unapproved board policy long enough. Now is the time to put it in writing and get the board approval along with public comment. What I have shared tonight are facts. They're facts that are undisputed by staff and the board.
Christy Vajoli. Okay, so I've got something related to the agenda for tonight. I have a question regarding agenda item I-1, which is the piggyback on Hernando County Schools. I just want to know, is there a list of the classroom instructional materials that Lee County School District proposes to piggyback? Like, is there a breakdown, or what exactly is included in this piggyback, and where can the public find that information? And then I would like to see the board revisit the issue of public comment at the podium, as was mentioned by Ms. Gittens and by many members of the public today. And I would ask that the board to reconsider allowing the public to return to the podiums as a show of good faith and of the board's willingness to work with the community. There is nothing unsafe about allowing the public to return to the podium, especially with that fine young man standing right over there who's not even 3 feet from it. So if anyone were to try anything, I mean, they're not getting very far. So I don't see any, especially after I've been frisked, you know, at the front door, and my purse and everything else has been searched. So we know I don't have any dangerous weapons on me. I can't, what am I gonna do, spit a spitball? Like, there's nothing I'm really, that anybody's gonna do from the podium. And it would show us, the public, that, you know, you guys are willing to work with us. Just my 2 cents. Thank y'all very much.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello, Lee County School Board. My name is Ryan Monroe. I was here last year. Y'all, I was trying to speak, and I got on a list the week before, and then I came here. They told me I wasn't on the list. I spoke up. They arrested me and removed me from the place. This is the first time I got to spoke since I got arrested last year for trying to speak here about this issue with the school board and the pedophiles that are infiltrating the schools. And we have to watch out for them. I don't think you're all pedophiles, but that's how they're getting in. And you don't have a right to talk about sex to any of our kids. You don't have a right, whether they're male, female, or whatever you're making up these days. You don't have the right to talk about that. That's the parents' job. Even in religion, like if you're a Baptist, you wait to get confirmed till you're an adult until you understand what you're doing. You're advancing sex, gender changes to people who are children. And you don't have the right to do that. A teacher doesn't have the right to do that. A cop doesn't have a right to do that. Postman. Any guy in the street did that in my neighborhood. Look out. So, got an hour, 1 minute. I did want to say that you ought to return cursive writing to the schools. To have the Declaration of Independence written and understood by the people who are going to the school is very important. In fact, even the Spanish folks that are coming to the country now should learn cursive writing so they know how to read their rights. It was originally written in cursive writing, and I had to teach my son, he was in this school district, cursive on my own because you guys have failed to do that. The leaders of the world should know how to write their names, sign a bank check, sign a mortgage, and sign a lease, and know how to read the Declaration of Independence. They all should know how to read the Constitution, and they need to be free of your religion, which is this liberal ideology, sex, genderism. We don't let God in here. By accident, you didn't find 10 commandments, you found the gay agenda. It wasn't the 10 commandments. How come it's always by accident? It goes on the other side. It's like by accident, you know, they don't cover the Hunter Biden scandal. They don't cover anything that advances the other side of the issue. Now, I hope y'all know, I was hoping to run for school board, then I met Miss Gibbons over here. I thought she was nice, and I said, oh, I don't know. But if y'all voting for this stuff, we have to run against you and get you all out, every one of you. So if you don't come out publicly against this stuff, you're going down. Thank you.
That concludes the public comment.
There's one more,
there's
Ms.
one
Attorney Zupke, there's
Oh,
one
I'm
more.
sorry. I apologize.
Tara Jenner, Board Policy 1.10, which was recently, or not so recently, updated and revised, 7/28/2015, specifies that any policy must go through the process of being reviewed at a workshop, presented to the public where public comment may be made after proper and adequate notification, unless there is an emergency exception. In the case of an emergency, the board, with a quorum, may adopt emergency policies without complying with the waiting period or public hearing requirements. There must be a notice of the specific facts and the reason for finding an immediate danger. And these must be published on the district website prior to the policy action. And the emergency policy shall not be valid in excess of 90 days from the adoption or effective date. The COVID protocols on public speaking, located here in the back of the room, the wanding and searching of the public, have failed to comply with these emergency protocol processes. There was never a board motion to adopt them, never any notice, and the time frame of 90 days has long expired, even had it happened that way. The process of adopting a permanent protocol change was never followed. Current Board Policy 1.11, revised last on 11/14/2017, so it stands as written, does not discriminate between the general public and those invited by the board when it comes to which microphone we speak from. And there is nothing in any of the board policies which have been properly adopted that approve the searching and wanding of the public upon entry into the boardroom, prohibit us from sitting in the front 2 rows when there's nobody there, or speaking to board members before or after the meeting or during the recess, as long as the members are amenable to it. So I will follow the advice that was discussed in the briefing earlier today for training of our kindergartners that teach us to say, stop, and use our I mean business voice when you feel a situation is unsafe. Well, I'm all but accused of being a threat just a few moments ago, and even though I've been searched and wanted before coming in this room, and there's disparate treatment between the general public and those who are invited by the district to come and speak, well, I feel threatened. I feel violated. My consent, as dictated by the Florida State Constitution, which outlines my rights, tell me to say, I feel unsafe, I feel threatened, I feel icky. So stop. And I am using my I mean it voice. And I'm calling on the so-called safe buddy adults in this room, which include the board members and the sheriff deputies, to help out. Board members, take a stand and nullify this action. The current process discriminates against the public, and invoking these safety measures. Do it now.
And that concludes the public comment. Madam Chair?
Thank you. Again, we thank you all for coming here this evening to voice your, to have your voices heard. We definitely hear each and every one of you. I will speak on the code of conduct. We just started speaking on that. So that will be going out and to the public for people to still have their inputs on that. We have received several emails which have gone to the superintendent's office regarding some things that they were sharing about the code of conduct. So just know that that will be coming out, and they will be asking for more opinions on that. That was just a first look at that. So I just wanted to, Ms. Patrica?
Could you explain the protocol, board protocol regarding email and who responds and?
Okay, so the protocol for, thank you, Ms. Patrica. When we receive emails, it is the emails that come through, we should have the, I as the chair should be answering that. We have the office that answers. It depends on who it comes to. If we have individual emails that come to us as individuals, then all of us would have the opportunity to send you back a respond on that. I know that I heard that someone received, only received one respond. I know personally that I responded to that same individual, so I know that He probably hasn't looked at that yet, but we have been in meetings all day, so I know we did receive quite a few emails between yesterday and today, so some of those emails will be, I know I personally sometimes will respond to them at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, but I try to read all of them. So I just want you to understand that we are not ignoring anyone. We definitely want to respond, and it is our position is to send it to the superintendent's office, and so that he is able to have the appropriate person or team member respond back to you with your answer. Also, let's see what else. Negotiations, we're still negotiating. We are finished negotiation with the Spelk and Talc, so that is finished. So that's the pay for teachers, bus drivers, cafeteria, all of the hierarchies there. So I just wanted to let you know that. I think that just happened yesterday, was the last day of that. Thank you. So that will be completed. And thank you for caring about all of the employees. Dr. Savage, I know there was the question about going into schools. Can you respond to that one?
Yes, I actually had
Please.
asked Dr. Spiro, and he said that visitors are permitted back in the schools.
I'm sorry, say again, please.
Dr. Spiro said that visitors were welcome back in the schools. He messed as soon as I heard that, because my understanding was they were, and so he confirmed that that is the case. I also asked if the principals had the individual discretion to eliminate that, and he said no. And so if there is a concern at individual sites, we typically work through our constituent services with the supervisor of that particular individual school. They work through that piece, so we'll be happy to take that information. I happen to know the parent and that particular school, so we'll make sure that that gets routed to the right person for follow-up.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And then, let's see what else. There's so much. And then as far as the, I know the young lady had spoke about the mental health, and there's only so much stuff that we can do with the mental health and adding based on what we are allowed with the Board of Education, correct?
You're speaking of the FGCU student who spoke about the mental health course. Yeah, I was taking notes in that. We'll circle up with what are our current offerings that touch on that. We had a little bit from the comprehensive health presentation earlier today, but I don't think it goes to quite the lengths of what was suggested. I think it is an important topic, but I don't have an answer at this point on that.
Well, thank you. And then I also want to share the monthly words that we receive, and we do not pick and choose those. They come to us through the foundation. They go out there, they greet the student with the winning the prize that they have won for that month. So this is something that we get every single month. We get someone new from all the different schools. So that's not something that the board picks and choose what word we will use. And as I tell the kids every time, because I go to the schools with them because they get a pizza party or a donut party, but I tell them, I said, choose your words wisely, because when you do, guaranteed, the minute it's up there, they will be used on us. So please make sure that you choose your words, because we will hear them at the board meeting. So I thank you for, making sure that you are, seeing what the kids are saying, and I do appreciate that. We will go ahead, and again, we appreciate all of you coming, and continue to email us, because we get several different ways of communication, and we thank you for that. The next on the is the approval of the action items in the agenda item consents. The documentation for action items listed under consent is made available to the board members 7 business days prior to the board meeting. We are expected to review all the materials, and we will have an opportunity to speak with the superintendent with any questions we may have regarding the recommendations. Some of these items have also been briefed or workshopped with the board in advance of appearing on the action agenda. Board members, are there any agenda items you wish to pull for discussion under the unfinished business table items portion of the agenda? Ms. Giovanelli.
I have none.
Ms. Fisher?
Following the review yesterday, I have none.
Thank you. Ms. Patrica?
No, thank you.
Ms. Gittens?
I have a question. The good cause items, will they be brought separately, or will it just all be a part of the major vote?
it's the consent agenda.
But will the good cause items be brought up separately?
No.
No, it's a
It'll
part of
just
the,
all be a part of the thing?
yes, as it always is.
Okay. All right, no, I don't.
Thank you. Ms. Vaughn?
I have none.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Ms. Morgan?
I have none.
And I have none. Is there a motion to approve the agenda's consent action items with, oh, nope, we do not have any.
I'll move to adopt the agenda's
you.
consent items as printed.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. May I have a second?
Second it.
Ms. Vaughn? Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Motion by Ms. Fisher, seconded by Ms. Vaughn, and please record your vote.
Lizette, my screen's not coming. Oh, there we go. Never mind.
How do you vote, Ms. Morgan?
Do you have it, Ms. Morgan?
Yay. Yay.
Ms. Fisher? Aye. Thank you.
Ms. Roman, did you get everybody signed? Okay. 7-0, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is board members' comments. And actually, I'm going to do a little bit different tonight, and I am going to ask our guest, Mr. Cole, to give his comments first.
I'm thankful for letting me.
Here, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sorry, my bad.
You're okay.
I am thankful for letting you be here tonight. I couldn't have been here without the support of my teachers. That's really all I have to say because.
Do you have anything exciting happening at school that you want to share?
Yeah, on May 9th, National Junior Honor Societies are having new members, and we're going to throw a party for them.
Okay. And as an ambassador, what do you do?
I usually just go to meetings, answer some questions, get advice from the ambassador fully, get some advice because next year I'm taking over.
Okay. So you, as an ambassador, you help others?
Yeah, I help others. Sometimes help the ambassador, but majority of the time he kind of guides me. I'm so glad I have the support of people in my life. That's all I have to say.
That is
Can I ask?
Thank you so much. Well, Ms. Gibbons has one question for you. Ms. Gibbons has a question for you.
I just have one question for you. Not a lot of students get to sit up here. So what do you think about the opportunity to sit up here? What did you think about this whole thing?
I'm just grateful that me and time driving in the right path.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. So now, are you okay to stay for a little bit while we go through the questions with your parents? Or are you ready, or do you need to leave?
May I step out and text my parents for a second?
That would be great.
Okay, thank you.
And then you can come right back, go that way, okay? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Morgan, I'm going to start with you.
Sure. So I just have a sort of a statement to make, not any real comments tonight. Just want to remind the public that in the Lee County School District, students have the right to study in an atmosphere free from bias and prejudice. Students have the right to respect and to be respected. Students have the right to be treated with courtesy and respect in an environment free from bullying or harassment. Students are expected to be respectful and civil. I think it's really unfortunate that members of the public cannot model this kind of behavior that we believe is really important to helping our students become good citizens. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Ms. Vaughn? please.
Yes.
And welcome. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to start by mentioning something that Mrs. Morgan actually said this afternoon about upgrading the tech system in this room. I know there was a time or two fairly recently where Ms. Morgan had to call in, and I was not feeling well this morning, and I decided to call in, and it was it was difficult at best, because when I called through the system, my sound was breaking up apparently, and then Mrs. Dupree Bruno had her own phone next to a microphone, but the problem with that is, whereas I could speak and be understood, I really couldn't hear what people were saying in the boardroom. Okay. So this really is something, it's not frivolous. We've talked about this before, and I don't remember how old the technology is here. I know we've mentioned it, but keep in mind, I know my computer, that's my desktop that sits at home, isn't as old as what's in here, and it's pretty sad. So I think the time has come that we find some money for that, just for the sake of all of us hearing and being heard when either we're not, when we're under the weather or traveling for school business. A few things that I do want to mention is some of the things that I attended. Somebody this afternoon mentioned the Foundation's Take Stock in Children luncheon. I always love going to anything having to do with that program. Back when I retired from teaching, before I came back into the education field formally as a school board member, I was a Take Stock in Children mentor for a couple years. And for those of you who don't know anything about the program, children, and at this luncheon, this was the luncheon where children were, I don't remember if they used the word inducted, but basically inducted into the program. And it's a great thing because the children receive a mentor, their own personal mentor, who meets with them at least monthly at their particular school. And when the children, and they enter the program often in 7th grade, and it goes through graduation, when the children finish this program successfully, they are awarded excellent full scholarships. So it is a wonderful program, and I always love going to any of the Take Stock, and I think, isn't the graduation one coming up? I forget what date it is, but that's always a pleasure too, to see, they're not children anymore, to see the young adults come across the stage and how proud they are, and their mentors and their parents for the former children graduating from the program. Somebody also mentioned Learning for Life, the talent show, which was, I think it was not this weekend, but the weekend before. Sometimes the days run together. Several of us here, Ms. Giovanelli and Ms. Gittens and Ms. Jordan, were judges with that, and such great talent, and all kinds of talent, from playing the piano to dancing and singing, and it really, really is uplifting to see the kids. And I don't know, I'm always taken by the really tiny ones, and there was this one little boy who was just amazing in his poise, and he performed solo. I'm sure I'm seeing the smiles, and we all remember. And he won a prize, and he was so proud, and it was really fun. Okay, so last night I attended the last Equity and Diversity Advisory Council Committee meeting, and I've been the liaison now. This is my second year, and I will, since we do 2 years, and we will be, I guess, next month, choosing different groups. I love that group because I would say, I told them yesterday, you are people after my own heart, because like me, they are not afraid of saying something controversial. They'll say what they think. And they came up with, there were some different activities, and they came up with a lot of things that were really, really important to them. I haven't formalized these things. There are 1 or 2 that should be presented to the board as an official recommendation, which I will do probably at the next meeting. But some of the topics included recruitment and retention of teachers, and talking about attainable housing. And it was interesting because earlier in the day yesterday, we actually had our workshop presentation on the Code of Conduct. And one of the things that we were talking about, which we asked to be removed from the Code of Conduct, was hair color. Since it's become pretty commonplace to see people with blue hair, striped hair, purple hair. You know, I haven't been around enough teenagers to see all the various shadings they do, but it's become commonplace. As a matter of fact, I threatened to come my last day here with unusual hair. Some of you would pay to see that, wouldn't you? Oh, a lot of them have left. I'll tell you what, I'll let you, at some point I'll say, what color do you want? Or colors do you want? I bet you will. Small business enterprise, all of these things are presentations that were made to EDAC, and they took them very, very seriously. And one that I will bring back to you that I mentioned, they were disappointed that the board didn't choose to adopt the redistricting that they preferred, but they haven't forgotten the idea of eliminating at-large seats. They're looking to have single-member districts, 7 single-member districts. So I will bring that back a little later, because when they first brought it up, it was too late during the time that we were doing the redistricting to really study that and do all the study that would need doing. But that's something that they're really concerned about and would love to see. And the other thing is they were happy because they support term limits. So they were happy when I told them that the governor had signed the 12-year limit. Actually, had it been me, I would have put an 8-year limit on it. But anyway, that he had signed that, and they were adamant that they supported that. So just a reminder that coming soon, they're going to be reforming in a few months, reforming some of the boards, because one of the things that the EDAC members were reminded of, and Ms. Reeder, who takes care of these board advisories, is going to send out notifications to all of, and some of you may be advisory board members, to all of you on advisory boards in case your term is ending, in which case if you want to be on that board again, you're going to have to reapply. And finally, it's great, absolutely great. God bless America that we all can come in here and say what we want without fear of retribution, sometimes. And, you know, I'm disappointed that tonight I heard from so many of you, same old, same old. I heard what you said, I did listen. One poster is accidentally, one LGBTQ poster is accidentally left on a wall in a school, picture taken on social media, and suddenly, I didn't even count how many of you, it becomes the issue that rises to the top. The microphone in the back of the room. Frankly, I really don't care if you're here or there. I want to hear from you. I don't honestly see that it's that big a deal because, again, in this country, we are allowed to express ourselves. And, you know, it's not something that Lee County made up. It's a tenet of this great nation that you have that right. And, you know, maybe it'll be changed, maybe it won't. As I said, I don't care either way. But just thank God that you have that right. And as I said at the very beginning of the meeting, I had the pleasure of introducing the moment of silence. Maybe a few of you took my suggestion that you think about the brave people of the Ukraine who are fighting to preserve their democracy. And I know all of you have seen the horrific devastation of that country. And it's at the hands of brutal aristocracy of Russia. Just, and anyway, I'm not going to say any more about that, except thank heaven you're in this room, you have microphones, whether it's there or there. I understand soon we're going to have actually your pictures. Is that happening soon on the big screens?
Yes, I spoke to Mr. Newland, and I know Ms. Lancaster's not here, so that's why it was not.
Okay, yeah.
It'll be
So
projected.
you'll be on the big screens. And again, just be happy that you're here, safe in this country, and take a page from some of the things that I said that the EDAC committee was concerned about. Things like recruitment of teachers, things like how we are being fair or unfair to minorities in terms of the way we organize our districts. Because as you well know, districts are often gerrymandered to give the best result to the people in power. Please, next time, come with issues that are on our agenda. Come with issues about why haven't we instituted the proximity plan yet? Come with issues about how we're spending money on whatever item you think doesn't deserve to be supported by us. Even those of you who said about cursive writing, I've had that argument with my daughter who works in technology, who tells me I'm very old-fashioned and nobody needs to write in cursive and that everybody types and all of that. I still write in cursive, so. And anyway, all right, it's time for me to step down off my soapbox. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Ms. Gittens?
Well, I've heard on both sides of the fence a lot of people talking about why don't we get down to the issues? Why don't we discuss what the issues are? And I've listened over and over again about the arguments on both sides about speaking at the back or speaking in the front. It was my understanding that that microphone was put back there because of COVID, and we had plastic up here because of COVID. After that was, and the people that didn't have masks were in another room because of COVID. All the other things that happened, you know, with scuffles and all that kind of stuff, but the reason that back there happened was because of COVID. Tell me if I'm wrong. So if we are allowed in schools and kids are allowed in schools without masks and all that, why can't we? I agree with you. I agree with Ms. Vaughn saying we need to move on and talk about something else. So let's just go back to what we were doing and fix it, and we'll talk about other things. It's difficult for me to see your expressions when you're way back there. And I know it'll be on the screen, but then we'll be looking on the side, trying to see your faces on the side. I'm sorry. I know that you think I'm going against the authority saying that we won't be safe. I don't believe that. And that's just me. But I think that as a board, sometimes we need to just think outside of our own little boxes. There are so many times that if I bring up something, and I've said this before, collectively there's a sigh of, oh, we can't do that. And I have brought up things and ideas and let it go. Somebody else says the same thing 10 minutes later, and oh, I agree with Miss So-and-so. It happens all the time. If you want to know what I mean, go back and watch the meetings. I do. And I see the size and I see all of the stuff. I was working on writing something this afternoon, and maybe I'll share it with you someday, the story of the unicorn. And I will share it with you when I'm finished and you'll understand. So anyway, as far as all that goes, yes, we need to move on. Yes, we need to move off of some of these topics that we just keep beating to death and move on to the achievement gap, fiscal responsibility, community involvement. What is going on with our schools? With COVID having kept our children out of school for almost a year and a half, and we're getting ready to end another school year, what's going to happen to your children if we don't test or if the tests don't come out well? Are they going to move on? And at what point are we going to hold them back because they're not ready, because they missed out on? That's stuff that's serious. We are an education organization. We need to spend our time figuring out how to educate children. Not how to shut me up. We need to talk about what's happening with children. So that's my soapbox on that. It probably won't go anywhere because no one seems to understand what I'm trying to say. It's something that we could just stop and fix, and we could have just one mic up in the front and be done. Then we go on talking about other stuff. But anyway. I hear from people and get messages and texts and stuff from people in the community about different things. And I'm always on my soapbox about communication. And I still feel as a district we don't communicate clearly enough and quick enough. And part of the cause of some of the statements that we get are because we don't communicate quickly enough and clearly enough. Today is Tuesday. We heard, I think yesterday evening or this morning, that the bargaining had come to a positive conclusion. So we need to get that out. We don't have to go into all the details, but to let people know, so before they come and stand up and say we're not doing what's right, da-da-da-da-da, okay, that was done last night. Yesterday in the workshop, I talked about how on the agenda it showed $32 million for Manasseh and the extension of Lamb's building. And I said, can we break that down? Well, interestingly enough, I turned on the TV this morning when I woke up, and one of the TV stations was talking about those two projects, and they broke it down. And it was awesome. There's $8 million for this, and there's $24 million for this one. And everybody took a sigh of relief. It's like, okay, we know what's going on. We make stuff too difficult. You know, it's like putting children in a room, and if we leave them alone as adults, they'll play and have a good time for hours. And the minute we go in there and tell them something, then, you know, it's all a mess. So, I don't know if, Superintendent, if you can take just a second to just give a nugget on what happened with bargaining and where it is now. Are we done with it? And where can people go to find out exactly what's happening and what happened? If you can't, then just say so and tell people where to go to get the information.
I think I can say we have a tentative agreement as a joint statement that was sent out yesterday. I think we could use all the language in that joint communication, and it's a tentative agreement. I think that we could release all of that information, specifically as is. Is that right, Mr. Dodig? Looking at our HR. With both parties, both bargaining teams. This was Spalk, which was the second, of course.
And where is someone that thinks that we're not doing right by the bargaining and all that? Where can they find this information easily?
Compensation and Labor Relations website.
Okay. All right. Could you repeat that? So
It was, as Mr. Dodig said, but I think we can try to find a way to address more public traffic in that way. The labor relations website.
And that's something, if it just happened, when we pull up the website, that should be a banner going across the front since it's on everybody's mind. So if they go to the website, boom, here it is, this is the latest. Someone mentioned about with the Code of Conduct and the Parents' Bill of Rights, and if you go back and watch the meeting yesterday, that was one of the things I asked, that we show links or whatever to the Code of Conduct and where we are honoring the Bill of Rights in there. And I hope this isn't opening a can of worms, but I have a question. Isn't there, and this is for the attorney, I thought I heard at one point that there's some law or something as to why if a student does not want information shared, that we don't have, what is it HIPAA? What is it?
So there's HIPAA, which is with regards to sharing of medical information. But I think what people are referring to is House Bill 1557 that has been signed by the governor. And I will advise that academic services and the legal department are meeting and reviewing that and coming up with a plan of action to address the particulars of that law. In addition, we will have our policy and we will have processes in place that will implement that law as well. So we are working on it. We're very much aware of it, and we will be in compliance with the law.
Okay. Now, just that statement has helped somebody out there that's listening to this or sitting in the audience to realize that they don't have to get up at the mic and say, you're not doing this. communication first and early stops a whole lot of confusion. My final thing I'm going to say, I still got my lighthouse up here. No matter what happens, I look at this lighthouse, I put it up there for the purpose of saying to me that everything I do, everything I say, my facial expressions, which sometimes are not stellar, there's somebody watching. And there's somebody taking away from my behavior that it's okay to act like that in public. I'm sitting next to a young man that's watching me and listening to every word I say. And he's going to leave here and either go back to school and say, there's one crazy one up there, whatever. But I am making an impression on how he understands how to sit on a dais, how to talk to people, how to communicate with other people. And to me, that is extremely important in my position. So I will end with our word integrity. The ultimate measure of a man or woman, I gotta add that, is not where he or she stands in moments of comfort, because this isn't comfortable sitting up here most of the time for me, and convenience, but where he or she stands at times of challenge and controversy. Thank you and have a very happy Easter.
Thank you, Ms. Gittens. Ms. Patrica, please.
Yep, I'm just looking for something. I've already given my comments, but I do want to give a shout out to Owen Ames Kimball. Thank you for being here. The board approved tonight item L12 that ranked OAK #1 for construction management services for the Cape Coral Technical College expansion. So excited for that project. I have to assume that you have already worked with Director Peace, and if you haven't, you're in for a treat, because I believe he's incredibly qualified, and I think you're going to have a really good time with that. I appreciate your work, and sort of, I guess it's kind of fateful that your prior president, Steve Shemp, was here today to present to us on the Independent Sales Surtax Oversight Committee. And I don't know, I just feel like that's fateful, because he brings automatic credibility to that committee, and you are also very capable, so thank you. I'd like to ask a question of the attorney, if I may, through the chair.
Please.
Attorney Dupree-Bruno, would you, during your comments, update the board or refresh the board's recollection as you did in the email, if you could just share that information publicly, the email that you just sent us tonight during the meeting? Thank you. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Ms. Giovanelli, please.
Thank you. I'll be quick, because I just want to make a couple statements that I believe that we respect everyone, and all means all. And I know that as a district, we try to do that. We are trying to accommodate all students and where they're at. But for me personally, I believe in the respect of everyone that comes here tonight and what they say. I listen, I hear, and I respect. But mainly, I respect parents and parents' rights, because that's the law, and that's really important, because we're up here to serve the parents and the students of Lee County. And so I think it's important that we make sure that we're doing that. And that means all students. So I have a couple questions, and this goes to Dr. Savage regarding what communication actually went out regarding that poster. And I know this was your prior, this was prior to your prior administration, prior to you. But what direction was given to the school administrators regarding the poster? Because we at this board, we do not run the day-to-day business. That is done by the superintendent. We don't know if there's a poster in a school, because we're not at every school, and it can happen. You know, things happen. So my concern is, you know, maybe we need to send a reminder out if there wasn't proper communication, because I don't really know what actually was sent out regarding the poster. But my other concern is If the poster is still in schools, and this is for you, Mr. Bruno, are we in the violation of the law? And there's two laws that I'm concerned with. One is the parental rights law, and the second one is actually the federal law that allows students to use the bathroom that they identify. That is the law. And so I don't believe in breaking any laws, and I believe in respecting all students. So my concern is that we are making sure that we're doing what we're constitutionally doing, and is making sure we protect all students. So can somebody answer that for me, please? Thank you.
You may hit the.
If you want to do the law, then I'll do that.
So with regards to the poster, my recollection of the poster, and it's been a long time since I've actually seen the poster, so I'd have to look at it again, but my recollection of it was basically summarizing some of the law. Now, I think one of the controversies that came up from the poster was that it had the Equality Florida logo, which is an organization that has a particular stance, and the district's position, at least this is what the legal advice from Office of Legal Services, is that we do not take political stances and we do not advocate any type of political stances. All we do is abide by the law. So since that time, there has been several additional laws that have come into play. The first being the major law that came into play last summer, which is the Parents' Bill of Rights, that's very indicative and protective of the parents' ability to direct the upbringing of their children. And that law has now, I believe, been solidified even further through House Bill 1557 that has been signed by the governor and will become effective in July. And that law is very clear as well in terms of protecting parental rights and ensuring that parents direct the upbringing of the children, and specifically puts limitations on districts in terms of non-disclosure of certain information, and encourages the district to help facilitate discussions between parents and children on certain issues. So there's a lot of things that are out there. Again, as I stated earlier, legal services and academic services are reviewing this. We're discussing it. Policies will be generated as a result of the new law. Processes will be put in place. So that is upcoming. This is something that just happened in March, and so we are moving to ensure that it's effectuated. With regards to federal law and the use of bathrooms, there is a case, and it's not just federal. Well, yes, it is federal because it's in the 11th Circuit. So we do have a case, St. John's versus Adams, which is the case that affects us here in the state of Florida, which is an 11th Circuit case. That case is currently still up to be reviewed. It was sent back to be reviewed by the entire bench, so we are waiting to see what will happen in that case. But the ruling of the original case, the last ruling of the case, was that students will be able to use the bathrooms to which they identify in terms of their gender. So that is the last law, but that is still pending right now in the 11th Circuit.
So, and that's just really important for the community to understand kind of where we're at. We just have to protect all students. And I believe in just you love everybody where they're at, but that's me. And so I'm going to be real clear about that. I respect everybody that comes here. I respect what you say, what you believe, and they're your rights to do that. And I will always give the respect, and hopefully the respect comes back to me the same way that I give it out. So I just want to be, open and honest about it. I support people's rights, and I certainly will never circumvent a parent's rights, because that's their right to raise their child. And I think it's very important, and that's where I'm going to leave it tonight. Everyone have a good evening. Thank you.
Ms. Giovanelli, if I can just add to what you said in terms of laws, because you didn't ask me this question, but I think this is important also for the public to understand and the board to understand. Parents' rights does not change the non-discrimination laws that are already in the books, right? So we do have Title VII, we do have Title IX. So there are a lot of different laws that are implicated in these types of discussions. So I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that it's not a very simple thing. There is a lot of nuances, and we have to be very careful when we're analyzing this from a legal standpoint.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. And thank you, Ms. Giovanelli. Ms. Fisher?
Yes, I made most of my comments before, but I'm just going to shout out a reminder that April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, as well as Autism Awareness Month. On the Continuous Systemic Improvement Committee, last month, I forgot to give this report. We had an HR presentation by Rob Dodig, Shelley Halstead, and Suzette Rivera regarding recruitment and retention and HR processes. We will be meeting tomorrow night, and we will be talking about growth and land use. Also, our Student Advisory Committee will be meeting next Wednesday, the 20th, and we'll be having a presentation on social media. I want to thank Cole, who is a member of our Student Advisory Committee, for being our student rep this evening and doing a great job. Thank you. I also want to thank the people who gave the career and tech presentation today, and also the health education update. I want to thank our staff who sit here patiently, listening to all of our interchanges and giving us presentations and information that we need to help us make, hopefully, good decisions. I want to thank the students and their families and our business partners for hanging in there with us during these difficult times. So in my many, many years in education, one of the things that I felt like I worked hardest on was parent involvement. We tried everything we could to get parent involvement because we want parents involved. Parents are our partners in education. And before kids ever come anywhere near our schools, parents are the first teachers of their children. And they have an opportunity to develop those relationships and to know their children really well. And happy Easter, everyone, and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. And I said most of mine this afternoon as well. And I would just like to share that Dr. Bernier will be here come Friday starting as a consultant. So he will be here. He is here already in Florida. So he'll be working out his month as it stands right now as our consultant, and then working with Dr. Savage to have a great make sure that everything is nice and smooth. So I'm grateful for Dr. Savage and Dr. Bernier for doing that as we move the district forward. And again, everyone has already thanked of course, we thank the staff for all that you do. Really appreciate it, as well as Cole, my friend here. I told him, if you're nervous, you're going to make me nervous. So he's been really good right now because he was a nervous wreck before he came out here. But I also want to thank Smoke and Joe. I guess I'm going to ask him for his styling tips next time I see him. So I really appreciated his comments about my hair. And I just, at the end of the day, I just, wish everybody a happy Easter and, and for everybody to have peace in their heart. And I really appreciate you all. Dr. Savage? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Pri-Bruno.
So I was
skipping her. Oh, I'm sorry, one more. And thank you, Ms. Supke, for being here with us today. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Pri-Bruno.
I was asked to share an email that I sent to the board during the meeting. There are times when, as things are discussed, I will send a reminder to the board about certain actions that have taken place in the past or a reason for a particular issue. And I did send one today. This is not a sunshine violation because Sarasota Citizens allows employees to have communication with their board member, and there was no discussion in this particular. This was for informational purposes only. And this was basically a clarification because there were some concerns as to why I heard wanding and back searches and that this was related to COVID and the moving of individuals in the back. So I will try to clarify a little bit. Mrs. Gittens is correct. Initially, when the microphones were moved to the back of the room, it was due to safety concerns with regards to COVID and the recommendation from the CDC about the 6 feet. We had the plexiglass, everybody was wearing masks. That is correct. That's the initial reason why these things occurred. As time went on, there were certain things that had occurred in boardroom as well as outside of the boardroom. I don't think the public clearly understands, because you would not have knowledge of these things, that there have been threats that have been made to certain board members, and there have been people, family members who have called extremely concerned for the safety of board members and other staff. And so there have been things that have happened that the public is not privy to. We have an executive director of safety and security, and his job and his staff with his team is to keep us safe and to keep the public safe. And so as things are analyzed and working with the sheriff's office to determine how to keep everybody safe, to include the public as well as the board, we kept the microphone in the back. We started wanding. We did some bag searches. We did other things. A question was posed: under what authority did you have that right to do that? Because there is not a policy that was brought forth to the board for them to approve that. And basically my email was just reminding the board that yes, indeed, there is a policy, Board Policy 4.09, which is very explicit and talks about safety, and that the board has the ultimate responsibility to keep everybody on its district facilities, to include this boardroom, to keep them safe. That includes our students, that includes our staff, and that includes the board, and that includes members of the public. And the policy is very clear. 4.09 says that the school board of Lee County is committed to a safe and orderly educational environment, and authorizes the superintendent and district staff to respond rapidly to any threats, suggestions, or predictions of violence that occur on any district-owned property. And at that time, there were threats and there was indication of violence. So safety and security took appropriate measures to make sure that staff, board, and public were safe. Now, this did, even though there was this policy that authorized it, this also came before the board because we took extraordinary measures with the searches and the wanding. So on August 31st, 2021, a recommendation was made to allow the superintendent or the designee to implement safety measures, including bag searches and wanding, for the safety of the public, students, and staff, and the board during board meetings pursuant to Board Policy 4.09, which is threats of violence, 2.03, campus disorder and trespass, as well as Florida Statute 1006.145, which talks about disturbing school functions, Florida Statute 790.115, which talks about the prohibition of possessing or discharging weapons or firearms at a school-sponsored event or on school property, as well as Florida Statute 790.06, prohibiting a concealed weapon at a school district meeting and other bodies of law. As a result of this recommendation that came to a formal action meeting to the board on August 31st, 2021, the motion was adopted and the recommendation was the motion was moved by Kathleen Morgan and it was seconded by Mary Fisher, and the motion carried unanimously by the board. So it did come before the board. In addition to it coming before the board, there was already a policy that allowed the superintendent, through his designee, the executive director of safety and security, to take these actions. And it's unfortunate sometimes because the public does not know all of the intricacies of things that happen behind the scenes. But I will tell you that there have been things that have happened behind the scenes that made safety and security concerned, the Lee County Sheriff's Office concerned. We had a board member that had to have police at their house surveilling. I mean, we had some serious issues, and these are why these measures have been taken.
Thank you. Did you have Question regarding?
If I may follow up with a question, if we wanted to change that policy, what would be the appropriate steps to take from a governance perspective to go
To
about doing
change
that?
the actual policy, to change this practice?
What's happening right now in the boardroom?
So
I know the answer, but I'd like you to.
So the board has had, the Florida statute allows for certain meetings to be conducted in the shade, which means that it's outside of the public. And those meetings, meetings regarding safety and security is one of those meetings. And it's very logical why, because you're having meetings with regards to safety and security, so you want to be careful about that information. The board has had multiple safety and security meetings where they have discussed certain things to include safety in the boardroom. The board can have another safety and security meeting and meet with safety and security to advise and discuss whether or not there is still a need for these types of security requirements in the boardroom. That is up to the board as to how they want to handle that, and they're allowed to do that. And at that time, the board can make a decision as to how they want to proceed.
So would that mean putting it in the parking lot for future discussion? Like, how would
you can put it in the parking lot for future discussion? You can decide to, today say you want to do it. It's completely up to the board's discretion as to how they want to move forward.
Ms. Gittens?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we at least have the meeting with the security and have whatever meeting is necessary to discuss this as a board, to look at moving forward or going forward and what our options are for changing it.
Ms. Gittens, if you could, please.
Make it specific.
And write it down. Use that little form that we have now and write it down, because it's very hard for staff to capture the motion, so that's why we want it to be written down, and then we can make sure we get it done properly.
Very
Thank you.
simply,
Would we need a motion for that?
She's entitled to make her motion if she wants.
yes, my motion is that we have a closed-door session with the board and safety and security to discuss moving forward with our safety and security procedures. Is that clear?
Still writing, Ms. Gittens. Just give me 1 second. Specifically with regards to the chambers, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so motion for a closed-door session to have a discussion with the board and safety security. May I add regarding regarding the meetings in the boardroom?
Yes.
Okay. So, Ms. Gittens, I'm going to restate the motion and make sure that I captured it properly. The motion is to have a closed-door session with the board and safety and security to discuss safety in the boardroom during meetings.
That's fine.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
So,
Discussion?
discussion.
Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion?
You have public comment.
Oh, we do. Public comment. Anybody that would like to speak, please go to the back. Thank you. And we will be speaking on this motion only.
Tara Jenner. I'd like to thank you guys for at least listening to what we have to say. The biggest concern I have is the disparity in treatment between the individuals in the public and those that you call to speak as guests of the school district. I'd also like to mention the fact that if it is such a threat, then why was it on one occasion when Ms. Gittens was willing to speak with me and she was prevented from doing so in this very room, that we were actually instructed by our sergeant at arms to go have the conversation out in the parking lot? Where's her safety there if I'm that much of a threat? Tell me that. It's absolutely insane. You guys are making up rules that don't exist. Now, if there's a threat, there's a threat. But it needs to be an imminent threat and a viable one. There are rights that we have And I have not seen anyone violate those rights. When you've got security here, who are your safety people, as well as our sheriffs who are properly attired to safeguard themselves and others, and we've been wanded on top of it all, it makes me wonder. I can go in and I can schedule a meeting with any of you, and I'm never wanded. I'm never searched. There's no safety or security guard that's there with me. Back this summer when we did the review of the curriculum, all that I had to do was sign in at the front desk. Someone opened up the back door. Dr. Spiro let me through the back. I wasn't even escorted back to the room because he knew I knew where the location was. Where's the safety and concern there? These rules were already in place at that time. It's a disparity of treatment. It's arbitrary and capricious. And not only that, but it's driven by your board attorney and your safety personnel, and I have not heard the board make a motion on this. The board did not bring this forward. It was the attorney that brought it forward. And your rules specifically say if there is a safety or emergency reason on how to change your policy, and this was a change in policy, that it needs to be done by a board member when there's a quorum. Also, what's the safety issue in blocking off the 2 front rows? Is there a safety reason for that? You don't know who those people are. I could come in and say, hey, I'm coming in to support a student. I'm sitting in the front row. Really? Pastor Roper came in one week. He's got to stand back here because he's apparently a threat. But then another week when he was giving a 15-minute presentation, he was actually escorted up to the front. Maybe it's because he's a pastor and miraculously one week he's a threat and the next week he's not. I don't understand this. I've asked your security people periodically, has anybody ever tried to come in with anything they're not supposed to have? And they regularly tell me over and over again that they've never seen anybody bring anything in, bar one situation that I witnessed myself, and it was a young lady who came in with a keychain with some mace on it, which was obviously something that she had in her hand and she used on a regular basis. Last week, I was the last one in here. After everyone...
Thank you, Ms. Jenner. Ms. Nystrom?
Denise Nystrom. Well, I want to say thank you. What I heard in many of your tones this evening is that you're willing to at least have a conversation about this. So I just want to let you know that I appreciate that. I reviewed many videos from when I used to first come here, and you know, I'm coming to the microphone and I'm like, hey, you know, I was an assistant superintendent and such, and I really felt like I was trying to cultivate a relationship with all of you. And actually, I do think that I have cultivated a relationship with a few of you, and I'm very appreciative for that. But I do want to say that I appreciate this conversation in particular tonight, because I do hear that some of you are listening right now, so thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments? Seeing none.
The only thing I do want to clarify one thing when it comes to the law. The obligation of the school board is to ensure that there is public comment prior to any formal action being taken by the school board. The school board ensures that there is public comment prior to moving forward with its agenda items. We control time, manner, and place. That is case law. This is a limited public forum, which has a different constitutional standard than any other type of free speech. So I do want to make sure that's clear, because I think that sometimes it's confused, and I want to make sure that the public understands this is a limited public forum, and the school board has the right to control time, manner, and place.
Thank you. And I will go ahead and take a hand vote on that, and then we'll move on. Ms. Morgan?
Aye.
Ms. Vaughn?
Aye.
Ms. Gittens?
Aye.
Ms. Patrica?
No, thank you.
Ms. Giovanelli?
Aye.
Ms. Fisher?
Aye.
And aye, 6-1. Motion carries. We will schedule a meeting.
Thank you.
And, yeah, no, I know. I was thinking of this whole security thing in my head. Sorry. Dr. Savage?
I gave my comments earlier, so I'll just answer the questions that I took down through the board member comments. The first was just mentioning of the technology in the boardroom. I know we did send an update in the last board weekly that there is a plan, actually. The next steps come in, we'll give the timeline and whatnot, so I do believe there's a significant body of work on that. That's a normal infrastructure upgrade, so it's just like anything else. We'd upgrade any piece of the facility once it gets into disrepair or the technology becomes obsolete. The next area we mentioned was just about the podium is being moved, and we just actually resolved that with the meeting being scheduled on that. The other piece was some feedback from Ms. Gittens just about communication being quickly or clearly, and just I think we can always continue to enhance what we're doing to try to better communicate, and I think that is a critical priority for the organization as well. And the last but not least, I will, Ms. Giovanelli, I will get with Dr. Spiro and school development to find out what was submitted in terms of the equity posters, what kind of guidance was given to the school administrators, and then we'll kind of follow up. I'm sure they'll have some of that, of how they communicate it, and then whatever we have to do in terms of recommended of ensuring full compliance on that part as well.
That would be great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Go ahead, Ms. Giovanelli.
one question real quick. Regarding the infrastructure in here, is that possible to expedite that to happen during our off month in July?
I think that is the plan, actually. They have a project. Some of the technology, I think, is too deep. They can't, but the most essential, which includes the TriCaster, I believe I'm saying that correctly, and then that's like a piece back behind the scenes. It's really significant, but then also the call-in system, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's so that we will have the ability to make the phone calls, and that is, I think, scheduled, or they're working to schedule that during that off month when it can be done. It's my belief. Yep.
I know last year that supposedly something was done, but nothing ever changed. Last summer, we were not allowed to have a meeting because there was 2 weeks they were supposedly doing something in here, and it was a special meeting that was trying to be called, and we couldn't do it because of that, is what we were told. And I don't think anything happened.
And I would just like to say, as we get ready to close, is that when we do go and have this meeting for security, that everybody remembers how we got here and why we were here. So in saying that, think about the reasoning, what took place for some of us up here, and bring that there for conversation. So that way that's done, it's over with, and we move on. Next on the next scheduled meeting of the board will be on Monday, April 25th. There will be a board workshop at 12 p.m. On Tuesday, April 26th, there will be a board briefing at 1 p.m., followed by an action meeting at 6. At this point, having no other business to come before this body, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you and happy.
Bye, Cole.